Our first speaker is Professor Rachel Burton from the School of Agriculture, Food and Wine at the University of Adelaide. Rachel is currently Node Leader in the Australian Research Council Centre of Excellence for Plant Cell Walls and was recently selected as a superstar of STEM. She's going to be talking to us today about the importance of keeping our insides healthy and happy. So, over to you, Rachel, or should I say, Gut Woman.
Gut Woman. Gut Woman.
So, hello, I'm Gut Woman, and I'm really interested in what's going on in your digestive system. In recent years, we've come to understand that what's going on in your gut affects the whole of the rest of your body. If your gut is inflamed, it sends out distress signals into your bloodstream, and that travels around your body to the rest of your organs. Your heart, your liver, your lungs, and your brain. So it's really important that we look after our guts and that we make sure that they're not inflamed. Poor gut health has been linked to diseases like type 2 diabetes, colon cancer, coronary heart disease. Did you know that it's also been linked to things like asthma, emphysema, and even our mental health, which is quite surprising, really. These non-communicable diseases, and by non-communicable I mean the ones that aren't infectious, so an infectious disease would be something like malaria or typhoid. For the first time in human history, these non-communicable diseases are killing more people than infectious diseases around the globe. And that, for me, is really quite scary, especially when we think that our children in this generation actually are predicted to have a shorter lifespan than their parents. So my kids are in the audience somewhere, so eat your porridge, kids. So what can we do about this? Obviously, we're here to share with you the science that we're doing, but also important is that we learn to communicate our science. Some scientists aren't very good at communicating what they're doing, so this is something that we really need to step up and to practice doing. Now, Chris said I was very lucky to be selected as a superstar of STEM. STEM means science, technology, engineering and maths. And there's 30 of us around Australia. We're all from all sorts of different disciplines. And Science and Technology Australia want two goals out of selecting us. They want to provide role models for young people, particularly young women who want to go into science, technology, engineering and maths, because you can't be what you can't see. They also want us to go and spread the word and to learn how to communicate our science in an accessible way to the public. All right, now you're digesting your lunches, I hope. I hope you all had lunch. Yes? But is it you that's actually digesting your lunch? It's not. It's your microbes inside of you. It's your microbiome, that's what we call it. There's trillions of them that are sitting inside you that are actually doing the business as we speak. We're not very sure about what's in your microbiome. There's trillions of them. That's about as many as the other cells in your body. So there's quite a community in there. We can't grow a lot of them outside of the body, but we do know what they do to your food. So we're going to have a look at some of the things that might be happening in your gut. And to help me, I've got this handy small intestine. Now this normally sits here, 7 metres long. You've all got one. And this is where your microbiome lives. Your microbiome is unique. It's like you, it's unique. It's made by your diet, your genetics, and even how you were born. So if you came out by caesarean section, you won't have picked up as many microbes as somebody that was born naturally. So we're going to have a look at this green intestine. Hopefully yours isn't green. And Chris is going to hold the business end for me and we're going to unwind it. Oh, 7 metres is a long way. All right. So I've got the mouth end, luckily. And Chris has got the other end. And on the other end is 1.5 extra metres of large intestine. So this is just your small intestine. You've got another 1.5 metres of large intestine where your microbiome is waiting. So when you had your lunch, it would have come in through your mouth, down in through your stomach, and then it's trying to travel down your small intestine. Now, in order to make this efficient and effective, you actually need bulk to help everything move down to your hungry. hungry microbiome. So, and very often this bulk is dietary fibre. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing because there's lots of different types of dietary fibre that we know about now. Thank you, Chris. There's two sorts. There's the bulk type, which helps everything move through and helps number twos come out quick and easy. Chris refused to demonstrate that. And then there's the type of fibre that your microbes can actually eat. They can actually use to live. And this is something that we call fermentable fibre. So they can ferment it, break it down, and this is what helps them live. So when the fermentable fibre arrives, they start having a party, they start doing the fermentation, and they start weeing in your gut. Doesn't sound very nice, I know, but those waste products that come out are actually what keep us healthy and happy. They feed the cells lining your colon, they protect against things like colon cancer, and they're the things that are really important. Where does dietary fibre come from? And of course it's in your food. And here at the Waite, we're working on which plants, which types of food, contain which types of fibre, and which are the best sorts for you to eat. Now, humans have a skeleton. You all have bones to keep you upright. Plants don't have bones, they have a wall around each of their cells which gives them strength and allows them to stay upright in the wind. And according to where the cells are and the walls are in the plant, they're different. So the ones that are in the pipes that let water travel around the plant need to be waterproof. And they're different to the ones that are in a cell that's going to make a flower, which might need to be porous to let hormones come in and out. So the plant cell wall is actually made of polysaccharides. That might be a frightening word, but it just means big, long chains of sugars, polysaccharide. And there's lots of different types of polysaccharide in the cell wall, and they're all woven together. And we're not actually quite sure how this works. It's amazing when you think about how the plant manages to make this with the turtle pressure that's pushing on the inside of the cell from all the water in the cell. So these polysaccharides are essentially what we eat and what are the dietary fibre. And each of those polysaccharides behaves differently in your gut. So I'm going to give you some examples of some of the polysaccharides now. And the first one that we have is cellulose. Now, celery... Chris, I think I found your granny's teeth. So cellulose, there's lots of cellulose in celery. It's that thing that makes it go crunch. And cellulose gives us bulk. It's the same thing that your t-shirt and your undies are made out of. But don't eat those. So cellulose is in celery. But I've just told you that you need to eat fermentable fibre as well. So fermentable fibre is in lots of other things. And one of my favourite fermentable fibres is called beta-glucan. Beta-glucan is found mostly in cereals. We discovered the genes that make beta-glucan in 2006, and we're still trying to work out how the plant actually makes it. But it's a fantastically fermentable fibre, so the microbiome really likes it, and it's incredibly good for you. So where do you find it? Well, it's in barley, it's in oats. There's lots and lots in oats. So porridge and muesli are some of the best things that you can have for breakfast. And here at the Waite, we actually have an oat breeding program here at Sardi, and they have produced most of the oat varieties that we grow in Australia. In fact, a new one was released just recently at the Royal Show called Kawari, and that's particularly high in beta-glucan. So we've got our beta-glucan, and it's nice and fermented. Now, not all cereals are as good. Not all of them contain as much dietary fibre, and sadly rice isn't very good. It doesn't have much beta-glucan, and it certainly doesn't have much dietary fibre. So if you're going to eat a breakfast cereal made of rice, I would suggest that you actually eat the box instead, because you probably get more fibre from the box than you will from the contents. So another favourite polysaccharide of mine, I'm allowed to have more than one favourite, is called xylan. Xylan is found in lots of plants, but it's also very rich in cereals. And xylan is confusing because there are types of xylan in some plants that are fermented and types of xylan in other plants that aren't. We're using a plant called plantago as a model. try and work out how xylan is made. Now, some of you might be actually familiar with plantago but not realise it, because if you grind the outside of the seed off, it actually makes psyllium. So do some of you take psyllium already? I know Chris does. So it's all right, it's fine. He went before he came out. So this is some psyllium, and when you make it wet, it goes really gooey, and you can see it would give you quite a lot of bulk. But we know that it's actually not very well fermented, which is a bit of a shame, really. So what we're doing is we're using some other species of plantago where they have a different type of xylan in their seed, and we're trying to find one that has both bulk and is fermented. And that would be a super supplement that you could take for human health. All right, so I've told you about some plant cell walls, I've told you about the polysaccharides in there, I've told you about what they do. Now we come on to how much fibre should you be eating, how much is enough. So we reckon around 25 to 35 grams a day is fantastic. It doesn't actually sound like very much, does it? 35 grams. Well, if you put it this way, this loaf weighs 750 grams, and to get 35 grams of the fibre that's in here, you would have to eat the whole loaf every day. But I've just told you that you're not allowed to have your fibre just from one source. So we need to get some of those other fibres, those other things in our diet. And of course, we've got our celery. I do make sure that I get my 5 serves of vegetables, my 2 serves of fruit, and my 4 to 6 serves of wholemeal grain fibre every day. So, of course, with our oats. So have some porridge for breakfast. Next time you go grocery shopping and you're pootling down the aisle with your trolley, take the memory of Gut Woman with you. She'll be whispering in your ear and helping you fill your trolley with lots and lots of dietary fibre. Thank you.